LaTB, where MMA and UFC get silly. This is the LaTB Podcast.
Welcome back. At LaTB, episode 246. I'm Emmanuel. We got Cheney filling you in on what we're going to get into this week because we got fights. And it's going to be a fun weekend in DC. Cheney, what's going down?
So, first today on the show, we'll just bullshit. We don't have recap to do, so we'll just talk about things, which will probably also lead right into the Twitterverse. And I'm so happy like a crackhead. I feel like, ooh, my deal is coming. Like your deal.
We in the meetup. You can see him in the home stretch.
Yeah, I'm like...
He's sitting on the Vespa.
I'm at a nasty hotel, like itching. Just itching.
I feel like he's sitting on a Vespa near a flagpole somewhere. You're like, ooh,
I'm peeping out of like nasty old broken blinds, blowing in a beat up old air conditioning.
Sounds like DC. Sounds
Anyways.
exactly like DC.
Yeah, we're getting into the most important thing while you're all here. Sorry, I'm beside myself. I'm so excited about fights. UFC Washington breakdown. So, yeah, what's going on with you?
Well, other than the fights, we had the holidays come up as of late, and the UFC dropped some mega bombs on us, officially dropping Conor versus Donald Cerrone. We also had in the same day the secondary,
Should we move on with it or just stop at one thing? So, I think for real, the biggest thing, what you just talked about,
Sure.
what everyone is all...
If you're living under a rock, you missed it. Because this is unreal. Everyone knew that they were talking about Donald Cerrone, Cowboy Cerrone versus McGregor. He openly talked about wanting to fight June 18th. They turned it into a pay-per-view. Cerrone, McGregor. Mac's back. He's acquitted.
Did you say April 18th?
No. That is the next fight we're going to
Let's
talk
not
about.
Let's not move on. Sorry. Let's not move on.
June 18th.
Because this is for the casuals. This fight...
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. It's for
true.
the hardcores, too. Hardcores are excited, sure.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to see Cerrone versus McGregor? Hell yeah. But this is not the fight everyone's most excited about. We kind of knew this may happen. Let's talk about that this is at 170. That's all the...
170-pound bout between both of these gentlemen. Interesting that Conor McGregor started as a featherweight, went up to lightweight, only had 3 or 4 bouts, got the belt out of there, over to 70, and has stayed there now. Cerrone's played around with 155, but really found his best, I feel like, last showings at 170. So, interesting with Mac. Is it a benefit, or does it take away from, some of those cardio issues that he's seen before in the past? With Nate on short notice at 170, actually.
I know everyone's acting like they both fight at 155. Conor's fought at 145. Cowboy's obviously the bigger dude. Bigger doesn't always win, but it does help. I actually think this is a really smart, safe play for Conor. I think if you lose, you fight Nate on the trilogy from a loss, and if you win that, you move on to Jorge. And if you win, you move on to Jorge, and then afterward, fight Nate for the trilogy. I don't think it's a big hoopla. I don't think it's a big deal. I think this is easy parcheesi, and who do you have on this right now?
Oh, it's horrible. This is so interesting because stylistically, this is a very advantageous spot for Conor McGregor. He does his best work by getting in people's faces and throwing straight punches, and Donald Cerrone usually takes about a round to wake up in a fight. He usually gives up a lot of first rounds in most of his fights, so fast starters with Cerrone tend to get him out of there early. It's happened time and time again. Cerrone doesn't like body shots, but the further this fight goes on, obviously Cerrone has the advantage, but we've seen Conor spark all sorts of fighters early in fights, so I think Conor knew this fight because he had the pick of the board. Everyone was waiting. Did I get the lotto? Did I win? Am I going to get the red panty night? Everyone was calling for it. And Conor, like Chad Mendes, was like, who is it? Chad Mendes? Yeah, okay. Get him in there.
Yeah.
It's a fight that he can win. So I think that Conor right now is too big of a favorite. It's 2-1 right now when the line's open for Conor McGregor against Cerrone. I think it should be much closer to like minus 125. Cerrone is slight underdog. But really fun fight. 5 rounds. It's the main event. So, do you think that changes?
I don't know if Cerrone should be the underdog here.
I do agree with that.
I think Cerrone's definitely won more fights at 170 than Conor, because let's be real, he didn't beat Nate that second time. No, I'm just... So, I also think Conor on a loss, it's at least he is a BMF. He fights at every weight class, including smacking around women and allegedly.
Allegedly, he won. He won those.
Yeah.
He got a dub in
old
there.
man in a bar.
Well, no. That old man took an L. That old man took an L for sure.
Conor won that one. And now he's about to beat another old man. Oh, no.
Boom.
I don't know who I have on this either. At first, it was an easy, like, Conor's going to win this fight. Duh. Then I just think Cowboy's smart, and we also never see a Cowboy taking time off preparing for a fight. When do we ever meet that Cowboy? And the steam with Khabib, you can kind of leave it there and let that do other things. I think move on. I think Nate opened up with the BMF title a whole realm of guys. And this is what else I was going to say. Does BMF mean we stand and bang? Like, we want to entertain the crowd more than win?
I don't think so. Diaz has multiple submissions in his career, and even on the ground, when he's triangling someone, flipping him off, the crowd goes wild.
I know Cerrone can submission. I'm not saying that they won't, but it's like they don't tend to.
It means stand and bang belt, essentially, is what you're saying?
Like,
I don't think so.
Crowd,
I think entertain the crowd, but I think you can do that on the ground. Another one of our boys tends to entertain off of his back.
So, yeah, what, the next big news?
The next big news dropped the same day. The bigger news, if you're a hardcore, you had a wet dream. I know I did after it was put out there in the ether. 5th time's the charm. We have...
Oh, my gosh.
The Screaming Eagle himself, Khabib Nurmagomedov, coming in against El Cucuy, man of nightmares. He'll make you get that night sweat going. Tony Ferguson... This has been unbelievable. There's going to be ESPN 30 for 30s about how this fight almost happened. And then eventually...
That's a great call.
It's
somebody out there,
happen.
If you're listening, ESPN 30 for 30.
Credit
really
LaTB.
On this fight. I think somebody needs to be following both of them around for the buildup of it. So if the fight goes down, because it's going to be epic. How could it not be epic?
Agreed.
How could it not be epic?
The only thing that I've heard, and it makes the absolute sense, is Conor and Cerrone, essentially a month out, they said, all right, we're fighting. Cool, about a month out. 4 months later, these guys are going to fight. Why even tell us 4 months out? Why not give us a month and a half? Give us 3 weeks. Like, tell them they knew 7 months ago.
Over 4 months.
It's too long. With the history both of these fighters have of dropping this specific fight, you can't tell the fans this. It just puts this heavy, like... Hey, every time I wake up, I'm like, all right, Twitter, please don't say this. All right, we're good, all right, and I keep scrolling.
Every time you hear the ESPN, boom, 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 boom,
breaking.
Yeah, you're like,
Greg Hardy beat another wife. Oh, no, okay, good.
Oh, my.
Good,
okay.
as long as Tony. As long as it's not going to be Tony, I don't care.
Bum, 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 bum. Rachel Ochetovich just got her ass beat again. Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Just don't let it be Tony Habib. Man. Just don't let it be Tony Habib. Bum, 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 bum.
Des Green just hit another person with his car. Oh man.
Good.
That's so good.
Good.
My poor people. I hope they get better. But we got Habib Tony on every day until that fight happens. So, little scared.
We're going to have a whole new segment on the
breaking
show where it's just, that too. But where we just check how's the Tony check-in? How's the Tony Habib check-in? Is everyone good?
Yeah, right. What's the camps going like? What's Eddie Bravo saying out there?
We should do like Conan O'Brien, where we put their faces on the screen with just the talking mouse.
I love it.
Where we do exclusive interviews with them.
That would be amazing.
It would be kind of funny, but one of us would have to, only one of us could be in the room. Somebody would have to be in the other room. Anyway.
Thoughts. We're going to have some fun times ahead of us.
I thought there was another big fight news for the women's division that was officially announced. And Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Weili Zhang. is official, right?
It is official.
Okay, I'm like, this is still questionable in my head. It's official, I think.
I don't know if it's in Vegas or not.
I don't know.
It might be somewhere else different, but I do feel like it was officially made. I couldn't even tell you the date because it's a great fight, but it ain't no Khabib Tony.
It isn't. That's why I did it afterward.
Yeah.
I left, but it is for the harder cores.
Agreed. This is an interesting bout.
Joanna gave, Ronda, it brought all these new fans, but I think there was a respect earned because of Joanna being a fighter that was different than Ronda's respect. And so to go to China against somebody, there's 2 billion people in China?
A lot more than that.
More than 2 billion?
Yeah, I think so. A lot more.
How many people are on Earth?
I don't know, go to India. Don't they have a couple billion over there too?
I know, I think there's only 7 billion on Earth.
Yeah, but it's all of Mongolia and all that crazy, it's way...
But India's not China. India's India, and Mongolia isn't Mongolia.
True, they're in different parts of the world completely, but I'm just saying the cultures are known to really reproduce. They even had to put a limit on kids at a point in time. That's how many people they got.
Yeah, I just think there is potential for a lot of fans, and it's interesting that it's a woman to me. I don't know why. I don't know what their gig is with women over there.
Because they don't grow up with women out there.
hey, yeah, I know, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't put that restriction out there.
Is Weili Zhang a dude?
No way, no, she is not. I don't know. In China, they do crazy stuff in China. I heard crazy stories in China. That's where they get some of them movies ideas.
Sorry I said that. That made me think too hard. Now,
Let me conspiracy.
Who do you have on that?
Gotta go with my girl, JJ. Give me Joanna in that fight. It's gonna be hard for me to pick against her pretty much regardless of who it is.
The thing that beats JJ... I don't know, that power Weili Zhang, to beat up Jessica Andrade like she did, that was...
Jessica Andrade was scared to go in that fight. JJ ain't going. She's gonna come out as the Boogie Woman.
Oh, that would be.
You're gonna say the Boogie Woman.
Hello, China. The Boogie Woman is here. You know what? Psychology-wise, if you can see the whites of your eyeballs, that's when you're crazy face. You're making your crazy face.
Oh, nice.
When you can see the top, that's what Joanna does when she's the Boogie Woman.
She's coming.
Yeah. So, and then let's stay with another lady fighter news that I thought was interesting. So, you know how we saw Halle Berry with Brian Ortega?
Woo!
At the fights.
So
this is where all these worlds become one.
Did she get D-downed or did he get V'd up?
She has been training with him because Halle Berry is playing MMA fighter in a movie called Bruised against Valentina Shevchenko, and that's why Valentina's hair's dyed red.
For the role, she consulted with Halle Berry. Halle gave her the good old thumbs up. I don't agree. I'm in the here. So either way, Valentina could dye her hair green. It does not matter. I'm going to still be a fan. I do love all of the news, but is this one of those Ronda touches? Is this like, hey, you're a really good actress too. Guess what? You can dance and you can act. I'm going to say Valentina Shevchenko doesn't have speaking roles in this bout, where she just comes in as the bruiser. And maybe she says, if she dies, she dies.
She's the opponent and she is speaking. She's
Does she really?
The main opponent, like her main villain in the MMA.
Okay, but I thought she comes in as a mega boss and is just like, I fight now.
She has speaking roles and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a smart transition. Doesn't it make sense that she play a perfect Russian villain?
I think that she just would have automatically gone into politics.
So how do you feel about... yeah, that's smart too. How do you feel, we don't like our fighters doing anything but fighting? Do you think this is okay for Val?
That's what I was about to say with the Ronda Rousey route. All of a sudden they're like, hey, we have all these Warner Brothers and big picture companies buying for your time and you need to train. Valentina is a different level professional where I feel like she would set up a gym. That would be a part of her.
She would go to set and be like, hey, Halle Berry, bow, and then you want to train with me? And then get her training on set. And you can film this and then just film Halle training. You can do jump edits.
Definitely.
I don't jump edits. I don't know.
So
I just thought it was very interesting.
I don't like it. I don't like it for any actor, anyone. T Wood got into movies. He got big over in India before he lost his belt.
Getting into her 30s. If she has a career outside the UFC, I think that's awesome.
She's capitalizing it now because it's true. Like she's definitely on the upswing.
And she has no big fights on her horizon. It's not like she's Amanda Nunes,
Correct.
Training
It is Amanda Nunes is her biggest fight on the horizon.
I agree if that happens.
It legitimately is. There is nobody else.
That fight, I still keep thinking, I if they were fighting at 135, I would be pretty friggin' convinced. I know we're going to talk about that fight a lot more to come. I would be pretty friggin' convinced that GDR could win that fight. There is a reason Amanda asked for it at 145. GDR is not a big woman. She's a tall woman, but she's lean. And
she's that crackhead skinny.
Yeah, she's a thin woman.
Yeah.
And so fighting up at 145, she's not going to tend to gain weight for it. She's not going to gain muscle mass in between.
Right. She has nothing to gain, and she actually came out and said that. She's like, I fought at 135 my whole career. Why am I going to give someone 10 pounds? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, anyway.
It's true.
Yeah, I think so. GDR at 135, I might be swayed from Amanda, but... I think this might be my final news that I just thought was, I want to know what you think about it. John Jones was mocking fans that doubted his innocence, and his quote was, "I am just God gifted with a solid work ethic."
Thank you, Mr. Pico Grams. Thank you, Mr. Pico Grams.
I was wondering what you were I was just wondering what you were going to say about that. Like, do you just think he's God gifted? Like...
we all are. Right? I guess we all are breathing. So
you're like,
we're all alive.
Grams is God's gift.
Exactly. We're all conscious beings.
Oh, I'm glad I scrolled through. There isn't it kind of
something better than that because that's trash.
We can't end on that.
That's John Jones Bones trash.
We've heard a lot about talks of maybe Nick wanting Jorge. So
he
this
said
is why I
himself,
think Cowboy McGregor are setting up something bigger. Like, all of a sudden, no offense to Khabib Tony are like hardcores. Everybody loves them. They're going to make money. They're on their own battle. And maybe later on, maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, we'll worry about them working into this equation. But we talked about Cowboy Conor. And everyone knows, like, Masvidal's the hot ticket right now. Everyone wants Masvidal, and we keep hearing everyone talk about Nick wanting Masvidal. But did you listen to the Faraz Zahabi interview on Joe?
I did not.
I haven't even thought about George.
That's what everybody's been saying.
I haven't but it probably came from that interview. That's why
it was the Hawani interview because he said, I want that fight now. You beat my baby brother up. You beat my baby brother.
No, not Nick. George. Faraz Zahabi was on JRE.
Oh, okay.
And George might be interested in Masvidal.
Masvidal's the hottest name in it right now. Anyone he fights, they're starting to get paid. He's getting called out for everyone. I think that for GSP, stylistically, he has a better chance fighting Conor McGregor.
Well, don't you think, too, if you're Conor McGregor, it makes all the sense for him to go to 140? Because let's say Khabib, your best shot, let's say you beat Khabib and then you have the Nate fight. Then what? You're fighting at 155, doing all that. Let your body just naturally go, get a little strength on, a little power onto your precision, move up to 170 where everyone's a tad bit slower than they are at 155, just a tad bit. And you've been fighting at 145 with little mosquitoes. And faster than them, too.
Oh, yeah.
And so, all of a sudden, GSP, Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, and Jorge, those are, like, with Conor involved, God, those got to be the 5 biggest names in UFC.
People are saying Adesanya.
I know we just were talking about John Jones.
John Jones, Adesanya, Shevchenko,
I think
JJ. We got stars, baby. We got stars. UFC's getting big.
I think Adesanya is like they're trying to force that he's a superstar more than he is. And I think he has all the potential in the world. I'm an Adesanya lover. He's my hype train, and we'll talk about that on the LaTBs later on. But I think that George St. Pierre, Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, and Conor are all bigger than that. And John Jones, I think people they're like, on John Jones now. I think they've shrugged their shoulders up. Everyone loves a John Jones fight. I'm excited about the Dominic Reyes. I'm not trying to shit on it, but it's just like, I think people are running tired of John Jones.
I think, and these are all the people that are in the limelight right now that you're mentioning. There's not all the people on the cusp of becoming stars in our eyes. We have Cyril Gain, Rosenstrike, Colby Covington, Shabazian, Covington. Like, there is so many other guys that I'm like, these are all superstar makings. In the ladies division, Suarez, freaking so many interesting fighters in so many categories. Woo! UFC, it's fun to be a fan.
Because of the BMF, instead of like the title, now it's like guys that the fans are there to watch. They're getting a cut of pay-per-view numbers because it's a championship belt. Like, there was an agreement that went along with this, and that's why I think Dana White says it'll never happen again. Oh, it would with big enough stars.
With big enough money. What if you can turn it into a pay-per-view? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And Conor GSP by far, I think, would be the biggest seller of all of those.
So is that better to end on?
I think so. Definitely a bit better. So that is all of the Twitterverse stuff as far as what's going on. There was some really interesting fights that just got signed. One that was horrible. I know you don't have a graphic, but I think you're going to be like, poor Diego Sanchez was just slated with Miguel Pereira, the gas tank who just flopped against the debuter. But Diego Sanchez, no chin Sanchez against Pereira. Interesting bout.
Huh. They're not doing Diego any favors.
No favors at all. But if he does a Mickey Gall situation and drag him into later the fight, that dude has no gas tank. So that was just late breaking. But that's all of it.
I think that ruined it. I think that was not the good ending.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what?
Diego
Sanchez?
Out of left field.
Phooey. I was bringing you Slayer after Slayer. I'm like, are you
GSP,
going to tell me
Conor
like,
GSP.
Tito Ortiz says he can beat John Jones?
I'm sure that's happened. Tony Ferguson ankle pick John Jones. Which has been all of kerfluffle if you haven't seen them going back and forth. We talked about it a while ago.
We can move on.
All right then. To the breakdown. In DC, we are going to end up having a 12-card bout. You know how we always do it around here.
They should have called this UFC DC.
That's the hashtag on Twitter is what I thought.
Is it? I thought it was UFC Washington.
Ooh, I'm not writing all that. I'm just saying DC. UFC DC is all over. You're going to see me hashtagging out there. Maybe Washington. Both. Maybe both. Damn it. Damn you, Twitter.
But I might be wrong. It might be UFC DC and then it's just called UFC Washington. But They should have called it. I think they missed the boat on not just calling it UFC DC.
I agree.
It's pretty badass. Agreed.
It flows a lot better together. So this one is going to be a fun one. The headliner is going to be Jairzinho Rosenstrike coming in against Alistair Overeem at heavyweight. That's the main event. We're going to get into all that, all of the rough details on why we got that short notice fight and all that. But you know how we always do it. We start from the bottom to the top, and it ain't going to get any different around here. We're going to start it off with Trevor Smith at 185 pounds coming in against Mahmoud Murdov.
From the bottom to the top, I think needs a button.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, don't you? On our button list.
One of them.
From the bottom to the top.
One of them we're going to end up setting in there, but we have a returning veteran in Trevor Smith with a 15-9 record coming off a 2-fight losing streak to Zach Cummings and, as of late, Elias Duradoa in a decision. Trevor Smith tends to be a brawler all the way around. He's serviceable. He can get swept once he gets on top. He has okay takedowns, but he does best when he brawls. Mahmoud in there at 185 has only fought once. He is 23-6, only once in the UFC, beating Alessio Di Chirico 2 months ago in a decision type of a fight. He just looks a little more active all the way around on the ground, might have a slight advantage on top and off of his back as far as submissions. Trevor Smith's never really been great there. It's again, if it turns it into a brawl, which I think Mahmoud stays on the outside, picks it apart. This is a decision. This is really interesting that it is this big of a favorite, just for, I guess, people are giving Di Chirico that much more hype, but Trevor Smith has also not looked good as of late. Probably the biggest favorite of the entire night, minus 400 for Mahmoud. There's a reason for that, but I still see a decision. I don't know if I necessarily see a finish out of here. Who do you have? Give me a decision right now.
I have a decision right now, and I'm just picking purely based on age and trajectory. Trevor Smith makes for a nasty fight every time, a long, nasty fight. I almost think you're right on the decision there. He has a better chin than people think, and hot sauce comes out hot. Hot sauce comes out hot, but really he's just a grinder, and he's going to put it on you for 15 minutes. So, yeah, I think this is going to be the hardest fight of Muradov's career. And Muradov decision, though. He's on his way up. What do I have on
So are you going to be willing to pay for the minus 400 favorite?
That's crazy.
9,400 against Trevor Smith's 6,800 plus 300 underdog Trevor Smith. I think the line's off there. It's got way too steamed up. 2-1, sure, even that's a little high, but Trevor Smith's been in there with some warriors and not gotten finished, so Mahmoud getting a decision over DiCiricchio doesn't really
Doesn't
stand
this fight come on at a weird time?
5:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, okay. So it's back to normal.
Back to normal.
Almost back to normal. And can you even believe next week's fight card?
The pay-per-view.
Oh my God.
It is so deep. 3 titles on the line, but that's a whole nother show.
Yeah,
Woo!
so we got that coming up, which you're going to either get 2 long shows. There's just a lot of... I think we could fit it all into one good long show for that. But I don't want to recap this on that.
Okay.
It'll be a whole separate gig.
Okay. Premium content?
Yeah, maybe. Or, I don't know. We'll talk about it in between the week. But I also, right after that, we'll have a week vacation. Maybe. We'll decide if there's anything good going on. We'll decide if the UFC gives us any news. But
True.
We have the Lappies coming up, which is way more exciting than UFC 245.
Woo! The only
I can't stop talking about the Lappies.
The only thing that's
Lappies,
more
Lappies,
exciting.
Lappies. If you're new to the show and you don't know what the Lappies are, they're the LATB, the Lesbo and the Bean old school awards where we give out Lappies, where you pull your answers out of a magic hat. I obviously look into crystal balls, and we see the future. We see the future. Mystic Mac, who? Mystic Mac,
Agreed. And we have grown, all of the legacy fans here, all the Legion, for the longest time. I've seen if we've grown from the last Lappies. I feel like it's been almost a 360 shift change over here at LatB.
Oh,
since the
yeah.
last one.
We were just like chilling in a basement in the last one.
Yeah.
We're still in Leslie Smith's basement, but...
True. She let us open a window.
Yeah. She was like, you guys can bring a hammer and nails in there.
You don't have to sleep on the ground anymore. So
Those are good. You don't have to cover with leaves.
That's how she trains. I don't know.
They think Russians are hard.
So, moving on to 115 pounds.
I almost don't want to do this. When I move on to the next slide...
What do you want to do about it? With Jobrina versus debuting Marley Martin. Martin coming in with a 6-2 record, getting a 5-fight winning streak, fighting out of the Invicta scene, fighting at somewhat at level competition. She's a fairly big underdog because she's on short notice, I think about 2.5 weeks. She likes to grind, push you up against the fence. She'll use an outside knee pick. On the ground, she brawls. She's got a couple head kick finishes in there, but the opponents really ducked into it. Jobrina in here coming in with a 14-1 record, getting her first loss ever against Carla Esparza in a unanimous decision 7 months ago. Once Jobrina got taken to the ground, she just wasn't able to get up. Don't really see that from Martin. Martin doesn't have that level of ground game, so I feel like there's a reason that she's a big underdog. Jobrina is equal standing, but on the ground, I think Jobrina is the higher level. I know on the ground is a higher level jiu-jitsu practitioner, so I think she has a slight advantage there, but this is a dirty split. You can't be trusting this. You shouldn't even be looking at DraftKings for this. This is a big fat stay away as well. Give me Jobrina decision. Maybe I'll get into a finish later on in the week, but this is a big fat stay away.
The photographer of the UFC, how dare you do this to Jandiroba?
Jandiroba.
How dare you put that picture of her up there with those Gila monster eyes? You know, she got them gecko eyes. Gah!
She's got my cousin's eyes when he gets like a 12-pack in. He got them shark eyes.
That wall.
Yeah, where you're like...
that wall.
Yep, where they get... The liquor hits that next level and you're like, they're not even there. You can, flash them with a light and they're just... You can hit them with a taser, they're just... What?
Their body's starting to shut off and it's starting with that eye. I'm just going with the person that has been in the UFC, but she didn't really impress me her last time out. I think you're right on the nasty, dirty split. I almost don't even want to pick this fight because if I lose and it affects my record, I'm going to be mad because I'm like, what am I doing picking Invicta fights for?
Great call, because that's pretty much where we're at here. And on DraftKings, the favorite here, Jandiroba, the veteran, 1-5 veteran, 9,100 against Martin, 7,100. Don't even mix it up, guys. No, I'm not even going to say put it in your DraftKings. We need finishes. And that one, I feel like, not likely to finish.
I agree. You don't want them points. Them dirty old points.
Yeah, they're 30 points.
Smelling like butt crack.
100%. Moving on to 155 pounds, we have handsome Matt Wyman coming back in against debuting Joe Selecki. Selecki coming in with an 8-2 record, coming off a 3-5 winning streak, getting on that contender series, having submission wins, couple losses in there, a few submissions as well. I think there was some early knockouts I saw for him, but he definitely moves well at 26 years old. The contender series fight, talked some really good stuff. He was in there with a really tough fighter with Wallace that he really came back later on in that third round. I really liked what I saw from the young man. He's definitely the next generation at 26. It's just fun to see him getting a step in here and going the route he's gone. Handsome Matt Wyman coming in with a 16-8 record. Took, again, those 4 years off. Last came in against Luis Pena 5 months ago, where he was a humongous underdog and actually won the first round against Luis Pena. He had Pena hurt. Pena finally showed what he really was capable of, ended up putting it on him in the third round and getting Weidman out of there. But I actually was impressed by Matt Wyman. I thought he could have rode off into the sunset and not fought again, and that would have been a kind of final good showing. But specifically in this matchup, same as where I had hesitation against Pena, Matt Wyman's the veteran dog. The right game plan for Luis Pena is get in his face and gas him out. Because then once he's tired, boom, now you got it. You're the veteran. You can start to do all your tricks. Same with Scalecki. If I see Wyman do that same game plan, I actually think it's his best avenue to win. The more than likely outcome, though, is that Selecki ends up getting a submission and or a knockout just because he's able to put on heavier strikes with more pressure because of the youth and well-roundedness. Give me Selecki, TKO round number 2, but I think Wyman, handsome Matt Wyman's volatile in here. I think the line's off as well. He's too big of an underdog. I think I'm going to spatter a little bit of Wyman in there because if he wins, it's going to be a big win as far as DraftKings is concerned. Give me a TKO round number 2. Joe in here, coming in as a debuter. Who do you have and why?
I'm staying away from Matt Wyman. It's weird that he came back. I don't really understand. Maybe it's out of injury, but it just seems like as a feeder fish or something to let these other guys walk in. I think Selecki's young and hungry, but I don't think he's going to submit Matt Wyman. I have Selecki decision. I think Matt Wyman can kind of take that beating, and Luis Pena is next level that I don't think Selecki's at yet.
Agreed.
So Selecki decision, but I definitely think it'll be a comfortable win. But yeah, power's the last thing to go, and he could still get hurt by Matt Wyman. Selecki decision. I won't put it anywhere. Yeah.
So on DraftKings for the debuter, you're gonna end up paying $9,300 minus 340. Favorite against returning longtime veteran handsome Matt Wyman at 6,900 on DraftKings plus 280. Lines off. I'm going to sprinkle 10% Matt Wyman and then 20% Selecki because I feel like this is a volatile fight that
I don't really see Matt Wyman winning at all. I have it I might 10% Selecki, Matt Wyman nowhere.
Okay,
maybe,
I like that.
Or 25% because I'm only going to play light. I'm going to go so light because I'm going to save all my dollars for UFC 245.
That's a great call.
I know those fighters.
every single one of those bouts.
Every single one. There's only one guy when I was doing it that I was like, I don't know I have to study him a little. And then when I was looking up his fight record, I was like, oh, I know him. But only one guy that I even questioned in my brain.
Oh, it's such a good fight card.
It's such a good fight card.
So definitely interesting bout we got going on. If there's a fight to profile, though, I feel like this is a fight of the night contender at 145 pounds. Featherweight here. We got Bryce Mitchell coming in against Matt Salis. Oh, woo! This gives me the night sweats thinking about this fight. Watching the tape on these guys. This is such a good fight. Salis opened up as a plus 150 underdog, now being the favorite in the fight as of right now, betting wise. So a lot of people coming in Salis' ways. He is 8-2, losing only once in the UFC to Kyle Nelson. Who did he lose to there? Sherman Marias in a decision that was pretty well contested. Came off of the Contender Series. Got some great boxing. Always showing his Insta boxing matches he's putting up on there. Last beating Kyle Nelson submission. Really landing some awesome combinations in there. Just the boxing that Salis brings in here is super technical, super down the middle. Great head movement, but he actually has great sprawls on the ground. He's more than serviceable. He's not going to come out here and submit Bryce Mitchell by any means whatsoever, but I feel like he has a good enough understanding of the ground to not get submitted uniquely. Like, it's not going to be a very basic submission. There could be weird scrambles, and that's what Bryce Mitchell does. You know, after he scrambled them nuts, that's all he can think about. He gets on the ground, turns into a sprilling top on his head. He is...
Scramble those nuts?
Scrambled eggs. He got them scrambled eggs.
That's Tony Ferguson.
No, but he did scramble his eggs. His injury that he had.
Oh.
With the drilling up his nutsack in the drill.
Oh.
That's Bryce Mitchell.
You have to tell everyone. I was like, what are you talking about? He
put
Scramble his nuts. I remember
why
that
you
now.
don't hold the drill in between your legs. In his underwear, he was holding a drill while he was putting up a shelf or something. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Putting up a deer, whatever he was doing. Squirrel pelts. And the drill went off in his thighs, grabbing the skin of his scrotum and ripping it where he had to drive himself to the hospital. He posted his underwear online. Horrific.
That is a nightmare.
Urban legend, which I don't feel like...
Sticking a dildo in his butt.
He was having too much fun.
And that drill went right through that dildo.
I feel like you can bleed out within 5 minutes of ripping your scrotum. That's what the urban legend. It's like...
I feel like I could believe it. It seems like a weird thing.
Like an artery. There's an artery down there.
It seems like a whole thing going on.
Yeah, I feel like it could be a prison movie, like, pressure point where they're like, hit them in the nuts. That's where they're weak.
I was actually thinking today, like, if eye pokes and nut and dick kicks and stuff, how different fighting would be if rules weren't involved.
UFC 5? Like James Hono getting pounded in the nut where he tapped the groin strikes on the ground? Oh, yeah. Literally elbowing the groin. It was amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
It was amazing.
So, hit me in my nuts.
Bryce Mitchell, I was going to say...
Don't cut that in my nuts.
Great point. The squirrel hunter himself. And here is Tony Ferguson light for me. He's very ground scrambling. He likes to get on there and throw up tons of triangles. He's long. His striking is good where it's offensive, but he leaves a lot of holes because he loops a lot because he doesn't mind going to the ground so he can get a little freestyle. And some of those looping punches have been countered before by lesser fighters. Where Bryce Mitchell gets beat up a little bit, but his just tenacity in the third round tends to overwhelm people. Bryce Mitchell's not a guy that'll give up in there, so you always got to be careful because he grinds it regardless. Win or losing, he's always going for a finish. But I don't think that Mitchell, with his takedowns, is good enough to get Salis to the ground where he needs to, other than more pulling on guard and striking-wise. I give it to Salis by leaps and bounds. So give me Matt Salis' decision. I think he keeps it striking and wins a 29-28, 30-27 type of a decision striking clinic.
I like Matt Salis so much, and I've gone back and forth on this. Both the losses that these guys have are against guys looking now that are like legit dudes, where they stand at this point, how far they've come. Gosh, I always think Bryce Mitchell's a lot bigger of a guy than 145. I feel like he's so tall and he has such a reach advantage. I think his hands have gotten better. Is Matt Salis like a Dominic Cruz disciple.
Yeah, Alliance MMA.
Yeah.
He's posting he trains with all those guys. On his Insta, he keeps up pretty proficient of his boxing combinations. He's crisp. But it's, again, he's hitting a bag or mitts, so it says so much.
I like Thug Nasty here. I like his trajectory. I think Bobby Moffitt's no slouch.
Agreed.
I just think how much better from each of these fights that we've watched Thug Nasty get. I'm going to go Thug Nasty here, decision. I hope he doesn't just fall to it. I don't see this being a walkthrough at all. I think this could be a fight of the night.
100%. That's what I'm leading off with. Like, this is such an interesting fight. It is just going to be really exciting, the minutia of this one. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for the minus 120 favorite. Opened as the underdog, Matt Salis, 8,200 against Bryce Mitchell's 8,000 even on DraftKings. Minus 110.
That's how it should be,
coin
though.
flip.
Because this is the fight I've gone back and forth with the
But
most.
Mitchell opened as the favorite is where I'm like, wow, just how much money has come in heavy.
You know what? I think people see Thug Nasty. He's more memorable. I think it comes out hot.
He
and
does.
the more research people do, it would change sides. I think because I like everything you're saying. I could go Salis by weigh-ins. I want to see how weigh-ins go because both these guys are young too. So we won't see them in the 145 forever. They're both 25-year-olds. We might see them fight again at 155.
15 more times.
Again, yeah, this is exciting.
It's super exciting. So
You were talking earlier about future superstars. I could see it for either of these.
Bryce
kids.
Mitchell, 100% for sure. The demographic niche he's got out there is a squirrel hunter himself. You were talking a bit about it, the weigh-ins. Great point. We always like to say those things, and it's going to come up later in fights about weigh-ins. This one is one we're going to have to see. Mitchell always has trouble getting down there, but more commission. DC, we don't tend to have a lot of fights. I mean, it's going to be some of the same old refs, but, I don't know who's in DC. If you need a corrupt town and someone to be fucking betting and someone to be doing some shady shit, go to the Capitol. You're gonna see some of the dirtiest stuff you ever seen.
Are you talking about Pizzagate?
Yeah, he just got his age restricted.
Oh no, I got us kicked off YouTube.
Oh, damn it.
Shit. Am
Pizza
I gonna have
fence.
to beep that out?
Pizza fence.
Let's not even say pizza. I don't even know what it means. I don't even want to say what I was going to say next. I made myself
the commission.
like,
Do you think that they're going to be like? We don't have a big lexicon. We don't have many fights out of DC, and I don't think I've seen too many robberies. So maybe they just get some of that taxpayer money and pay for good refs to come out of state, like they usually do in DC. So
yeah, what could we have to worry about in DC?
Not elevation.
No, intern blowjob.
Not a bad thing as well.
What else would go down in Washington, D.C.?
A whole lot of art dealing going on down there.
Art dealing?
Yeah, they sell a lot of art in big containers that they ship across the ocean. That's a whole nother show.
Oh.
With all sorts of permits that you need to look into. See what they put in those things. You'll be surprised. So, back to...
People are going to say, what are you talking about?
That's a rabbit hole that doesn't need to go down on a breakdown in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, America. You're welcome.
Yeah, and don't tweet at me about, that guy's not from America. Why are they red, white, and blue? Because we're in Washington, D.C.
Oh, 100%.
We're in Washington, D.C., people.
Get on track. Hopefully it doesn't put any people into...
You know what's so weird? Washington, D.C. is its own separate gig. It really is not part of America. It's the District of Columbia.
Is it like Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico.
No, I think it's like London, where it's like...
The Vatican?
The city of London is different from London. I think it's like the city of London. Or the Vatican. Yeah, I think D.C. is like that, where it's like its own little city-state thing.
Art dealers, the last time I'm going to bring that up. So, moving back to the fights at 145 pounds, we have, what did we talk heavy on the DraftKings? We got deep into that rabbit hole. With Salis, Mitchell, 8,000. I'm going to actually have limited exposure to either of these guys because we both see a decision either way. So as far as DraftKings,
I think that's a really smart point.
So it's going to be low owned. I might do 10% on either one, 5% actually, but
smart.
even. But it reflects with 8,000 and 8,200 for their projections on DraftKings. Then we move on to featherweight, 145 pounds, or we stay in featherweight with Jacob Kilburn coming in against, is this a dirty double debut? We have a Contender Series fighter, kinda, so it's officially a double debut. Jacob Kilburn coming against Billy Quattrino.
Aren't they both Contender Series fighters?
No, I don't think so. No, yes, he did, and he lost that bout to Bobby Moffitt. Did Kilburn, but this is his first fight back in the UFC, even promotion, because he fought in Jungle Fight twice.
Double debut is, yeah.
It is a double debut for sure. The
Look at this
24-year-old.
is not Kilburn. That's Bobby Moffitt.
Oh, awesome.
Don't you think?
He looks better as Bobby Moffitt.
Or is Bobby Moffitt the black dude?
No.
Does that
That's
look
Billy.
like Kilburn? That doesn't look like Kilburn to me, or at least not this picture in here. I need to look at that.
Well, if you're doing him favors with that picture, let's just say that for sure.
That seems like a different UFC
That
fighter.
might be a different. No one's gonna know because
You're so right.
You're not gonna find his tape. You're gonna find the one Contender Series fight, not the other ones. It wasn't easy. So Kilburn in here, 24 years old, young man. Kind of serviceable. Moffitt was able to really pick him apart in that Contender Series fight. He was able to get the other jobbers out of there pretty quickly, but they were 6 fights in their careers, so really still growing a lot. He's gangly. Looks like he could lose a little more weight. He's still growing into his body. Kilburn just doesn't look like an athlete. Wayans could say different, though, because he is so young at 24 that with all of these guys in their early 20s, like they're still growing into their bodies, so he can look like an all-star. Gonna have to wait for Wayans, but Kilburn is really just kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, serviceable. Regional guys will get out of there, but Billy has had a little bit of experience, 12-2, coming off of the Contender Series, finishing his opponent against Kirk. He also had a tough fight, losing the first maybe 2 rounds at the Contender Series and then finishing with punches in that 3rd round. It was definitely a hell of a fight. Billy in there has been finished by another UFC former vet in there. I can't think of his name, but it was early on in his career. The 12-2 30-year-old has at level competition. Some of the guys have looked all right. Some of the bums he's went through, you're like, yeah, of course he's gonna. He just has better movement. But he's susceptible to some kicks at times just because he really tightens the duck forward up on his head. But he's just the more powerful fighter. He looks like he dictates the pace of most of his fights. But I can't put either of these guys anywhere. Give me Billy Quattrino in here. In a decision, I could even see a finish out of the two. Kilburn might surprise me, but I didn't see it. Give me a decision. I talked way too much on that fight. That really doesn't matter. Big Fat, stay away. Who do you have?
I wasn't going to say it. I'm just going to go with I like the way... I really want to stay away from this. I'm going to go with the crowd here and just go with decision. Because if they're just going to stand and bang... I'll go with Quarantillo.
Billy in here is going to be 9,200 on DraftKings, debuting minus 315 against Jacob Kilburn, 7,000 even, plus 245. Do you think you're going to play Billy at 9,200 on DraftKings?
Maybe on 1 or 2.
I agree. Maybe that 10%. Kilburn 0 just because of the finish.
I don't know if I see a finish. I think they're going to both stand and bang, but I don't know what their competition level has been up to this point.
We're both picking decision technically right now. But out of the two, I think
but maybe
Billy...
that because they are going to stand and bang, that's what makes it like, oh, maybe there is going to be a quick finish. Oh, yeah, maybe.
The only one.
Maybe on
Quattrino in there is the only one I'm sticking with. Yep. Then we move to 170 pounds where we have longtime veterans in here. This could be a double retirement for all I care. We have Thiago Alves coming in against Tim Means. I mean that with love. And I mean that because I'm like, there's no other guys I want you fighting other than each other. Double knockout. Get on out of there. Both of you retire. Please, for your own sake. Thiago Alves has been in some brutal fights as of late. 23-14. Longtime veteran. GSP. Longtime contender. Never got the belt. Had brain surgery. Has come back and had a speckled record in there. After TRT was banned, he definitely had a big drop-off in his everything. the formidable leg kicker, got finished or decisioned by Strapoli fairly one-sided, and that win he had against Griffin was a dirty split, which could have easily went Griffin's way. If that would have went Griffin, that would have been a 4-fight losing streak for Alves. So just haven't liked him. He can't pull the trigger anymore. All of his lead signature strikes he just barely has. The last thing he has is power. His speed is pretty much gone. It's just kind of that veteranship and power he has. And against Dirty Bird Means, he's got all those same things other than the power, but he never had the power. Tim Means has always been a guy to kill you by 1,000 cuts. The Dirty Bird gets in there with those elbows. He was hit with a PED suspension for about 2 years. That was tainted as well. But the 28-11 record holder is coming off of a loss himself to Nico Price in a fight that he was actually winning the striking exchanges against Price. It's just that we're telling you, Nico Price has different level of power in there. So I really liked what I saw from the Dirty Bird going back and watching that. I mean, Price got cut up in there badly. He was getting picked apart, and it was just the fact that he was able to eat 5 strikes in a row and still just land a hellacious strike on the return. What I really didn't like in that is the landing. I remember watching it live. That knee and leg turned badly. He definitely, I don't know if it was a full break or just a dislocation. He had a boot on for a while. Was 8 months ago, but I don't know if he's had issues like that before, but those kind of those are Thiago Alves type knee issues. So it's just like both of these guys hanging on by a thread. I think I like just the way both of the careers have gone. Dirty Bird has looked better later fights go on, where Alves has maybe a good first half around and then is all washed up since then. So I think Dirty Bird wins, maybe TKO round number 3. I have that right now. I'm moving more to a decision. But again, I'm defaulting to double TKO or double KO, double retirement. They both go out on their shields and just no more. So
no
give me
mas.
Dirty Birds.
No mas.
No mas, please, for your own good.
I like, this legacy fight. I feel like we're going to talk about it again tonight. It's almost like legacy fight series. Okay, at least they're fighting other decently big names that are other older dudes. At least if they both don't get on out of here, can the loser get on out of here? Get on out of here. I too have Means decision. I think he could win the first 2. He tends to kind of wilt heavy in his fights and almost have that give up, but at least he turtles up and allows punches, or he just gets beat for the last round. But Thiago Alves is Thiago Alves at the end of a long, dusty road. Give me Means decision. I think it's weird he's this much of a favorite, but I'm going to play him on a few cards.
I totally agree with that.
I think he could have the KO.
Out of the 2, he's more the likely to get the KO. Gotta watch. For him, it's not the weigh-ins for Means.
And I think they both be like low scorers on DraftKings.
I could see that unless the finish comes about. But if it's Means in the 3rd round, that might not be a lot of points. Because we've seen that with 3rd round fighters. They don't get that 100 points. It dwindles down to, I think it's 30 points by that point? Something like that. You get a finish, maybe 40 off the top of my head. But
no.
As I was saying, with Means, it's not the weigh-in. I want to see his open workout. I want to see him moving around with pads before this fight.
I don't even know they show the open workout of preliminary guys like this.
True. So I'm going to just need to catch up on all of his side tape and be like, all right, what have I seen him doing on the bag lately? Because people are going to ask him about that knee. So I just need to find it. So on DraftKings, you're going to go with the huge favorite, minus 245. Tim Means, 9,000 even on DraftKings against Thiago Alves, 7,200.
Too much for Tim Means, in my opinion.
I agree, but I am going to speckle him on there out of both fighters. He's the only way I'm going to play. So I got a lot of heavy praise guys. I got to have a couple more unders in here.
Yeah, and Tim Means at 9,000. What is his average points?
62.6.
Not worth it at all.
Thiago Alves, 65 average points. But that was a long career ago with wins averaged in there.
Same with Tim Means.
Great point. So, interesting one to slate.
The same record over the last 5 fights.
I know. It's such a dirty fight. The Dirty Bird coming in to get that victory, though, for me. At 135 pounds, we're going to bantamweight with Rob Font coming in against Hickey Simone. Simone in there being 15-2, coming off of a faceplant finish against a Uriah, a Faber, the 40-year-old, the butt chin man himself got it done with an overhand right. You said specifically he was calling out that young prospect for a reason, and it's because Ricky Simón gets hit with every single right hand that has ever been thrown on him. People said that afterwards. I went back and watched his fights and was like, oh, look at Ricky's getting dropped again with an overhand right. And every one of his fights that he's been hurt, that's the punch.
Who's Uriah Faber fighting next?
Peter Yan, no mercy Yan.
Does Yan get hit with overhand rights? Wouldn't that be really interesting if Faber went through and picked out everyone?
Interesting, good point. I just think Peter Yan could probably eat them a bit better and then just fucking eat them alive. So that's a huge step up in competition, I feel like, in Peter Yan. But Faber's a former champ.
I don't know. Simón isn't... I liked him up until that...
Merkin.
Yeah.
That Merkin stockings he got.
Butt chin.
Ugh. God, the stink. I had thought that the stink got to him and he passed out. A little sneaky overhand, right? So, Simón, wrestler, likes to get a ground and pound, get on top, get side control. He likes to rabbit punch you from side. Striking-wise, little looping, goes in there with his head ducked. I feel like uppercuts and knees are also very troubling for Simón when guys really start to time that. And Robbie Font loves that at-range striker. I've been a long-time fan of Font. I've been hit and miss one for a while with him because I really put a lot of stock in him coming up, and he's just had some tough fights. John Lineker, fucking monsters at 16-4. Alameda in there, he finished. Sergio Pettis decision as of late. Prior to that, he lost to a Sunsao in a decision. I mean, Robbie Font's fighting by far the better caliber guys in the longer stint in the UFC now at 32. But I really think that Font can keep this fight where he wants to with his good takedown defense. It's not great. I believe it's in the 70% range. But striking-wise, he just has such a big advantage. Switches stances. Again, I'm really liking his uppercuts and knees specifically for this bout. Give me the slight favorite here. Give me Robbie Font. Decision. I'm thinking I might go into a finish later on. I could see he has a good gas tank as well on him. And we have seen who is a Ricky Simón in here get beat at distance. And this threw me off guard completely right now. We didn't talk about it at all. This is actually a 6-card main event. It snuck through the cracks. We were busy just moving on along. This is for the Fight Pick Championships. This is for all the beans. And the Beans got one for you.
Oh,
Give me Robbie Font.
Already into the main card?
This is 6.
Well, I'm sleeping on the job over here.
As am I.
Let me do Make sure you're following us at LaTB, LaTB _MMA on Instagram and Twitter. And you can probably look us up somewhere on Facebook. Maybe under Lesbo and the Bean. Who knows? Maybe LaTB _MMA, do your research. And if you want to follow either one of us, you can follow Emmanuel at Zoltanite. Always putting out them hot picks, them hot takes, them underdog picks, that plus money puesta. You can follow that there. And if you want to follow me and follow UFC conspiracy bullshit, some shows I'm watching, some games I'm playing, you can follow me at Weak Neck Baby. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
That is that. Onto the main card, Fight Pick Championships. You better watch yourself, and you better wash your ass.
We got 6 bouts on this main card, this being one of them where we can get that hot 25. That hot 25. That hot 25.
I need a spoon and one of these.
I need a maraca.
Hot 25.
So, this one, in a decision, hopefully he's going to give me them 25 points. Give me Robbie Font, the slight favorite here. Who do you have in this one, and why?
I, too, have a Robert Font decision. I could also see the finish. I could easily see the knockout after Uriah Faber found it, because Robert Font is super long, can get inside. I think it could be more of a straight right than an overhand for Robert Font there. So I have a finish, and I think he lays down a lot of points. So
what round?
Or, I'm sorry, I have a decision right now, but I could see the finish. I agree with you.
Okay.
And maybe the late second, early third.
That's exactly where I'm seeing it as well. On DraftKings, you're gonna pay for the minus 155 favorite Robert Font, 8,500 against Hickey Simone's 7,700 plus 125. On DraftKings, because we both see the finish, gotta be putting my boy Rob Font on there about 20%. Ricky Simone, because of his takedowns, he could have a little bit of a higher floor just because those tend to add up. But with those rapid punches on as well, I don't know. I just don't see myself rostering too much of Simone in this fight.
I agree.
On to another fight of the night contender at bantamweight. This one is going to make you sing that song, the number one, Yadong song.
Your dong song. I can't believe we don't know Cisco was gay. Can't believe your dong song's fighting Stayman.
Cody Stamann is his opponent at 35. The D1 wrestlers coming in with an 18-2 record, now having multiple fights in the UFC, only losing in the UFC to Aljamain Sterling via knee bar. It was also a Suliev stretch in there. As of late, he got back in there against Alejandro Perez and whooped up on him in a 3-round decision 8 months ago. Stamann getting his boxing up to par in there, always wrestling, being a grinder, hard-nosed type of fighter. Doesn't shoot as much as he really should in fights. With that D1 wrestling, I think 2-3 shots, no way 3 shots consistently in any fight. But I'm talking about 2 or 3 shots in maybe 4 or 5 fights that I see of him. It's just not enough with his credentials. He uses it more in reverse to keep it where he wants to. Yeah, I guess he did use it against Perez. But Stamann showed what happens when a better grinder, a better wrestler gets in there with him with Sterling, where all of a sudden Stamann, when he doesn't have the advantage, he just kind of turns very flat-footed and throws hard shots, but they are a little bit slower just because he's processing a lot of the striking exchanges. And then once he was outclassed on the ground, Sterling just kind of had his way with him. But I saw Stamann, especially in that fight, really be like, ooh, I'm not the better striker or grappler here, and he just kind of shut down. And against Yadong Song, this highly touted prospect, the Terminator himself, coming in with a 15-4 record, has been decisioned before over in China, fighting at level competition, going over to Alpha Male, being with them for a while. He knocked out Alejandro Perez as of late 4 months ago, so they have that in common. But he has also beat Vince Morales in there in a decision where he could have almost finished him a couple times. Felipe Arantes. Yadong Song comes in, bodied up, looking like the Asian Terminator in there. He is shredded, throws with tons of power. His gas tank is his issue. He does wilt with the amount of power he throws, but he's very, I believe it's kung fu, very linear. He learned his striking in China coming up as a kid, and now he's come over to the States to get that grappling under control, but he's now using that in reverse to keep it where he wants to, where he's a better striker. So this is where Stamann has a really unique challenge, where he wants to use that wrestling, because I don't think Stamann can strike with Yadong Song here. Even though Yadong Song's the one to get more tired, he holds the better power later on into the fight as well, and he can just throw. He's done it before, even against Morales in that 3rd round. He's more of that blitzy style where he'll throw 4 or 5 punch combinations, but they are full force, and then he'll just kind of slow around for a good 30 seconds. So I think Song lands the harder strikes over round. I think they're pretty close in the strikes. It's all in the grappling game. Give me a Yadong Song decision. I don't necessarily see a finish. I think the line could be closer than it is right now for the favorite in Song. I think there's going to be a really interesting bout. I think Stamann's a little bit live here. I think he can squeak out a decision as well if he really implements that grappling. Who do you have in this fight and why?
I mean, the guy with the better record, especially against harder guys, is easier Cody Stamann.
By far.
I do like Yadong Song. I do think he has better hands here and even more power. I agree with you on that power being wearing on his cardio, but being in the States and not having to acclimate and already being here and then working on that and him only being 22 years old. Cody Stamann, though, is just hitting the prime of his own career, and I really dig him. I think he could wear out the cardio but I think he's going to lose a lot in that reach advantage, especially going with a boxer. And a guy like Yadong Song at this level, he's got to know he has to be working on that takedown defense. This is the hardest wrestler that Yadong Song's ever gone against. But I want to say, is it that Stamen just hasn't impressed? But I think Duquesnoy an underrated guy. You know that
retired.
Brian Caraway.
Caraway.
2 retired dudes, but
Duquesnoy was a young man. Underrated Caraway by far. Duquesnoy, I agree. And Sterling, that's not a bad loss. Aljamain Sterling loss is not a bad loss, and he was very competitive in that. That's why I'm saying I think the line's off here. I think it should be a lot closer than it is.
I think heavy hands, if it's anything like New York and D.C. with the commission, we're going to notice hands get a lot more play and attention than any kind of takedowns or any kind of thing like that. So, I think Stamen could eke out a decision here. I just really like Yadong Song right now. I like everything he's shown us. I think he is a star in the making.
Well, as we were saying beforehand,
Give
another
me a
one.
Yadong Song decision. I do not know if I see a knockout. I'm going to trust Stamen's chin here, but Yadong Song, I said Cody Stamen is the best wrestler Yadong Song's gone against. Yadong Song's the heaviest hitter that Cody's gone against, and maybe even a heavier hitter now because he's only 22 years old.
Great point.
Yadong Song decision, but it'll be interesting. I love this fight. You're right. It could be a fight of the night.
This is definitely high-profile stuff. You guys gots to be watching this. Absolutely. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying $8,900 for Yadong Song against Cody Stamen, $7,300.
I like Stamen on that.
I think you can put both guys here.
Is he low scoring?
75.3 points for Cody Stamen average.
I kind of like Cody Stamen better on my cards.
I agree with you. I got to put both of these guys on there. Can't stack them, duh. But you can definitely. If you don't have one, you got to pick the other. But we both see a decision that we're out of either guy to finish. It's likely Song is the more likely to finish. But we think they're both likely going to decision. It's whether they get a lot of volume in that time. You got to put Stamen on. I'm going to probably go in that 10%. I'm going to go Yadong Song 10%. I'm going to go even because the value by far, DraftKings. You're right. It's all on Stamen there. He can easy go 3.
I think so.
Easy. And that's going to be able... That's the cheaper guy.
I could have myself because I think if they're comparable at all on the feet and then you add in if peppered with 1 or 2 takedowns in a round, Stamen could easily eke out a decision.
Yep.
Easily eke out the decision. That's a scary fight. That is a scary fight. Scary to pick on the Fight Pick Championships.
That's the truth.
And I wanted to also throw in, since it is a Fight Pick Championship, make sure you're following all of our peeps and to find all those peeps too. I already said once about but you can find the MMA marks and Grampy Back and Backlog and Winning Federation and Juice and Omoplata and Evil Eddie and to make sure you're following. Oh, let me not leave out Ricky. I cannot
and that backlog.
Leave out Ricky. I think I said that second.
Oh, you might have.
But maybe I didn't.
So, definitely shout out to all of the heathens out there. Staying at 135 pounds, bantamweight, we have a profile matchup in a reason we're going to have to watch weigh-ins. Aspen Lade coming in against Yana Kunitskaya. Lad having issues with making 135 pounds last time. She said it was gender discrimination. We said it was the weight cut. You be the judge. But she definitely ended up getting finished by the Iron Lady GDR in there with essentially 1 strike. Was it a bit early by Herb Dean? Yes. Has he done it to other fighters? Yes.
And you know what else I was thinking was funny? Did we think Tanya Evinger fight with Lad was stopped a little fast?
Yes.
So, hey, you get some
multiple
back.
fights.
You know what they call that in Russia? A Kutskaya.
Aspen Lad, the reason that I'm making a issue about this is because she has trouble making it down to 135, and even with the pound of allowance against GDR, she tried to make 135, looked as bad as anyone I've seen in the last recent memory. Specifically changed my bet to GDR because of it, because I started saying, like, guys, she's quivering on the stand. She didn't use that pound allowance and weighed in at 35 instead of 36, and she paid for it.
She looked like she did the polar bear plunge. I should have just changed my pick that minute.
Yeah, it was bad.
Awful.
I
will give her a little cred right now, though, if you follow her on her Instagram. Look at him throwing out follows there.
Ooh.
And you can follow Aspen Ladd. I follow her on her Instagram. I watch her hike every day. She looks thinner. Like significant, like she
needs to do it. Yep.
Like last one maybe hurt her enough that she's like, I can't be walking around thicker than a Snicker. I gotta get that.
We appreciate it though. Yeah. We appreciate it.
I like it. Get your peach on.
I saw a picture of Aspen Ladd and her sister. I mean her mother. Same. Legitimately, they got some good genes in that family. Aspen Ladd, 50 years old.
Arya Stark.
Arya
Stark ass.
Exactly. But more to back on the fight. Aspen Ladd, not the best striking in the world. Definitely has to get it to the ground. She tends to win by Banshee Scream. As you were saying with that Ventura, she is literally screamed her way to victory multiple times. So made them early stoppages. Technically. That's a new one. You're welcome, Twitter. Scrummed. You scrummed.
But scrum. I feel like that's like a chode.
It sounds like a chode.
Scrum. I feel like it is. I feel like it's like something like
sounds
that.
like a scrum sack.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. Scrum.
So,
a scrummage.
Yes, exactly. So, Yana Kunitskaya.
That's when two taints touch together, a scrummage.
Urban Dictionary.
Sorry, where
Here
am
we
I
go.
at right now?
That's what you're
Getting
interested
close
in.
To Christmas. I got the Spirit of Jesus in me.
Street Jesus coming out.
What about if you told people you were possessed by Jesus?
People do all the time.
Is that just called Christianity?
No, people do all the time, and they're like, oh yeah, and then they tell people to drink some Kool-Aid and all that stuff too.
But they say I'm possessed by Jesus?
Some of them will say that, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They'll be like, it is in me. Look, I can speak in different tongues.
I understand the actual calling it possession.
Oh, of course not, because it's not bad. So
that's that's my point that I'm trying to make right now.
Oh, okay.
That's the whole point.
Oh, I'm like
over your
same.
head. Yeah,
I'm
you're trying
same.
to explain something, and I was like, no, it's like possessed by Jesus.
They're embodied.
Yeah.
So, they speak in the tongues. I've seen it once. That's what they call.
That's called in Russian Kunitskaya.
Yeah, that's exactly.
If you're possessed by Jesus,
you speak it in Kunitskayas. Yeah. So we've seen her come into the UFC and get eaten alive by a cyborg, then run off a 2-fight winning streak against Lena Landsberg and Marion Renault in a decision. Kunitskaya is a better striker here on the ground. She's been serviceable. Losses, I mean, I haven't seen really any submission losses that I can think of. On the ground, she knows what she's doing, but she's not going to submit you. She likes to more sprawl and brawl, keep it striking, where, again, that's where she does her best work, at range and the distance. And Aspen Ladd is an incredibly bad striker. I don't care who you are. Look back at her striking. Very looping, very forward. She leans her chin forward, and a good counter striker, which I believe Kunitskaya has in her back pocket, she will run onto right hands. That's just Aspen Ladd's style. She crashes into you in order to be able to get you down in a weird scramble. But even then, I think Kunitskaya has strong, not better hips, but strong hips enough where she might end up landing in a full mount, which I would still say Kunitskaya get up, because Aspen Ladd is ultra serviceable on the ground. So I'm surprised here that Aspen Ladd's this big of a favorite. I think the line's actually come down a little bit to Kunitskaya. I had Ladd earlier on in the week decision, but the more I'm talking my way through it, I think Kunitskaya keeps it striking, and striking-wise, she wins the bout. Now Aspen Ladd can take this down once, and it takes Aspen Ladd one time to scream her way to a victory. So if it goes down once, Ladd is very live for a finish here. But I got to play both sides, as I was saying beforehand. With the other fight, I think we're in the exact same spot here as far as value. Give me Kunitskaya decision. This is on the Fight Big Championship. Going with an underdog.
I could not pick
It's
Kunitskaya.
scary.
Picking Kunitskaya. Foxy, going with Foxy on that. I'm going with Aspen Ladd. I think the fight, regardless of whether or not GDR would have won or not, I too think the fight was called a little early. It was brutal. She was knocked down. She was hurt. Yes, all those things, but I think she could have taken 3 more strikes and to just solidify it so there's no discrepancy. But Aspen Ladd, she's doing everything right with me, even for her cardio. She's training up in Colorado all the time. Kunitskaya kind of was a never was, and she's kind of fought people like Marion Renault on the tail end of her career that kind of was in there to begin with. And then what's her face that Landsberg, that is like, that does not impress
Just
me.
be Missy
That
K's
doesn't
on.
impress me much. So the GDR loss, it stung a little bit, but the other two, the Tanya Evinger, that was stopped a little fast, but that was only going in one direction as well. And the Sanjara Eubanks fight, which was handed, I'm going to go Ladd KO. I think she's going to get her by ground and pound, out muscle her. It's not going to be pretty, and then get on top of her and do what Aspen Ladd do. I do think it's going to take a round. I had round 3. I'm going to move it to round 2. I could even see Ladd decision, like comfortable, especially because I think it's going to be a hands-heavy kind of night for the judges. So, Ladd KO round number 2.
Wow, KO. Love it. Absolutely love it. On DraftKings, you're going to get the -160 favorite Aspen Ladd at 8,700 against Yana Kunitskaya's 7,500 plus 130. How much do you think you're going to be playing that on DraftKings?
Not a lot. Maybe
That's
just
steep.
a little bit. That's a lot.
That's steep for Aspen Ladd, but as I was saying
She
before,
finishes her fight. She's got to be worth a little bit of points.
that's where I think I can go 10 and 10%. Especially on some of these.
I'm not putting Kunitskaya anywhere. Even if she wins, she seems like she gets like 40 points.
63 average. So.
I'm surprised. Well, she's only had 3 fights.
Yeah, one of them was a finished loss.
Yeah.
So was Aspen Ladd,
That's
technically.
surprising.
So in weird stats we got going on in there. So I think 10 and 10% for me as far as DraftKings. I'm going to have a bit of exposure to this fight in general.
Aspen Ladd has had 4 fights, right, in the UFC?
Oh, I thought you were going to say 5 heads.
No.
Boom! Boom! And just got to
I
say.
think that's the best thing to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that. On to heavyweight, 265 pounds. We have Stephen Skyscraper Struve coming in against Ben Rothwell, formerly known as Big Ben. Now he's just Ben Rothwell.
Preacher Ben.
He doesn't like the un-Americanness of Big Ben and be in London. People thought he was British.
He's possessed by Jesus.
He's possessed by
hasn't won.
picograms. Old Ben Rothwell took a turn for the worse after he got the year's suspension for all those extra vitamins and never looked the same. Never looked the same at 36-12, coming off of a 3-fight losing streak. I would have to say this was a loser leaves town, but Struve just won a fight, so he's technically got 2 fights left. But if Ben Rothwell loses his fight, he can't stick around, right? 4-fight losing streak.
Heavyweight.
Oh, so he can fight 2 more times.
But I agree with you.
Ugh.
He should get on out of here. I thought he was already gone. I'm surprised he's still there.
Agreed, especially after that. But one of those losses is to Junior Dos Santos. Then he lost to Ivanov. And then Andrei Arlovsky in a controversial decision. A lot of people thought Rothwell won. I agree, I thought Rothwell won. And I had Rothwell in that, but it's really Rothwell's fault that it was that close. So you can't be, you're not taking anything from it. What we saw on tape was just somebody who's slower, less power, not as much cardio, and still just rough around all of the edges. His athleticism has kept him in the division because he's an 85er in there. 100%, he's a cannoneer in there. So Rothwell is just a big guy. Stephen Struve is literally a Nephilim. He's in that freaking 7'3", whatever, 7 foot range. The thing with Skyscraper is that he's never used his length. Arguably on the ground he has, because he can throw up arm bars and triangles from spots most other guys can't, so he'll catch them more because guys are just like, oh, he shouldn't be able to do that. But as far as striking wise, James Vick, Tall man defense. Stefan Struve, that's where it was written in the book. You'll see Stefan Struve's face. Tall man defense. Slap Stefan Struve in there. He eats a right hand, as we were saying with Simone. Every single one of his fights. Got dropped by Diego Lima, first strike of the night, right hand. Skyscraper off of his back, gets a triangle, or off of it gets an arm triangle, and rolls it over, but Lima should also not be in there. So this is the dirtiest of dirty fights. Stefan Struve, I don't think has a striker's chance in this, even though he's got big knees in there. I feel like with a good grappler, Stefan Struve has been known to be halted with his submissions, and that's what Rothwell does. He's a D1 wrestler, wrestling credentials. If he gets in those positions, he'll just land rabbit punches. He's not going to pass a lot. Rothwell's not going to take him down much. If it is a takedown, it's one per round. So I got maybe 3 takedowns in here. I see this one being a low score, but I see it being a big old fat stinky mess. Give me Rothwell decision. And I'm going to probably stay away from this one. This is a gross fight.
Rothwell could knock out. Struve could submit. But I agree with you. I'm going Ben Rothwell decision. And I feel like this is a gross fight. I'm kind of thinking both guys should be retired by now. Back to that legacy fight thing we've been talking about again. This is another one of those. Legacy fight. I'm at least glad they're fighting each other. And it's not because they're close in age, but Stefan Struve with his issues, they gotta be, like, their bodies gotta be close to age. So.
He's only got a couple years left. Got big people like that don't stick around for long.
Yeah.
Just saying, you don't see too many giants living on past whatever age he is.
Yeah.
So he's going to go back into the mist.
Ben Rothwell decision. I'm not going to put it too many places.
On DraftKings, 8,600 for Big Ben against Struve, 7,600. If any places, is it Rothwell at 8-6?
Yeah, maybe
he has to get a finish. Maybe one. Not even 10%. Literally 1%. And it's only
I'm not playing 100 cards.
Yeah, right. Right.
That's why I'm like
0. I'm gonna stay away from. I'm gonna stay away from this fight. I'm just gonna say that because it just
seems like a low score.
Seems like a low score all the way around. So decision for me in that one. Moving on to the co-main event at 115 pounds straw weight, we have a short notice replacement in Marina Rodriguez coming in against Cynthia Calvillo. Rodriguez is coming in for Gedalia on a little over 3 weeks' notice. Maybe a hair over that. But the 12-0-1 fighter has a draw in there against Ronda Marcos. Then rattled off 2 wins against Tisha Torres. Who else in there? Jessica Aguilar she beat as well. She's also just had high-level striking credentials out of Brazil for a long time. At 32 years old, she looked better in that last fight against Torres. I mean, Torres was a minus 400. We both had her as like, the bet that's going to win, the one that's going to easily come through, Tisha Torres. She's the one who's going to get you a decision regardless. I remember us saying that. And then Rodriguez came in there and put it on Tisha Torres. Put it on her. Great striking. I love the way that Evil Twin was describing Rodriguez, and it was Jana Jędrzejczyk light. She's the lesser Jędrzejczyk, but essentially that. Forward pressure, great striking, the same height, skinny build. Her ground game isn't up to par as JJ by any means, but there is tendencies in some of their footwork. A lot of good combinations from Rodriguez, and what I absolutely loved in that last fight with Tisha Torres is she has a second and third gear in that third round. Rodriguez didn't back up. Rodriguez kept moving forward, and even in that draw, I thought Rodriguez could have eked out that Marcos win. Love the elbows and the breaks. Rodriguez's clinch is her best attribute. She throws great knees, knocked out quite a few women with knees on the regional scenes, and left kick. Overhand elbows land regularly for her, as Tisha Torres, and straight right hand that hurts her. And what we just saw from Calvillo, coming off of a 2-fight winning streak, she was at the top of the pop. She was at the top of the charts, hanging out with Dana White. He said, "This is it. This is the new."
I said never.
You were a never was. Esparza showed us why. Once you are able to stifle Calvillo's wrestling, her striking isn't good. She's an Aspen Ladd, essentially, as well, where on the ground, she's heavy, she throws a lot of strikes, she overwhelms you, but striking-wise, very looping, and once jabs lands its mode, and Calvillo gasses hard in that third round, she's just flapping in the wind there, and Esparza proved that. Since then, Cavillo has really gotten on that gas tank, worked on that, but I feel like here specifically in this matchup, Rodriguez's takedown defenses looked better. And I feel like in general, as I'm saying, I think it's that cardio. I think it's that second and third gear. I actually think Cavillo had a better shot against Gadelha than Rodriguez right now. Really liked what I saw with Rodriguez. Give me a decision. Rodriguez, she came in as a slight underdog, is now the favorite, decidedly at minus 125. I got a decision. Who do you have and why?
I like Maria Rodriguez here because you know how I feel about Cynthia Cavillo. I think a better comparison than a JJ Light would be maybe a KK Plus.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
I just don't think she's anywhere near JJ quality. She's all right. She's fought like just Tisha Torres is leaps and bounds better than any other competition that she ever had. And the Tiny Tornado, it was maybe the worst we've seen her look. And that could be all attributed to Marina Rodriguez. But Cynthia Cavillo, maybe we'll see a bunch different from her at Tiger Muay Thai after leaving Alpha Male. And maybe it'll behoove her. But she was kind of late to the game or something. And I mean, I guess a lot of people would say Marina is too, but give me Rodriguez's decision. I think this is actually going to be one where we end up with some points on the Fight Pick Championships until all these guys listen to the show and they start swapping over. But this is definitely 25, because Cavillo ain't got shit. She ain't got shit, but everyone's going to go with name value here.
Again, remember, everyone's going to put this into it. Cavillo's been at Tiger Muay Thai this last training camp. So she's over.
That's what I'm saying, since leaving fucking
Alpha Male. But you're going to see how one training camp at Tiger Muay Thai is not going to make you a Rodriguez level of striker. It's one of those things.
It's like whatever you do I can pick up the guitar tomorrow, but if you've been playing since you were a kid, we are
exactly.
You would humor me to jam with me.
Exactly. So on DraftKings, the minus 125 favorite Marina Rodriguez is going to be 8,400 against Cavillo's 7,800, a plus 105
so we
slide
ain't
underdog.
Saying anything secretive.
Nope.
But I do think Cavillo's name is going to make people put her on the card.
On Tapology, most of the people on Tap actually have Cavillo.
That is what I think.
Interesting.
That is what I'm saying.
But the bettors have it the other way. Very interesting. That's an interesting co-main event. I actually like it. I would have liked Gadelha there as well, but yeah, I think other fights could have been this better co-main than this, honestly.
It could be honestly a whole better card, but because I got 2, 4, 5 in the horizon, unless you're a flat earther, and then it's called 2,
on the plane.
4, 5 at the edge of the wall. But I think it's kind of weak. This could be a prelim fight to me. Agreed.
I'm still gonna be watching. On draft, I'm gonna play.
Can you imagine if I was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it off for this one fight.
One.
This is the one. How do you feel? How heavy are you gonna go on DraftKings with this one? 8-4 against 7-8.
I actually see a lot of points being laid out here. I think Cavillo is going to get really beaten the second she can't get her down, and I don't think she's going to be able to keep up with her at all on the feet. I see 70 points, which is right about the decent amount. I don't see a lot of guys high scoring on this fight card, so 70 points might be the head above water mark.
For 8,400, that's going to be better value than most other fighters, I believe, in there.
With less risk.
Right. I agree with that. I think I'm going to be playing Rodriguez 20%, maybe 5% of that Cavillo, but
I'm going to have Cavillo no.
No, Cavillo no. In there for you. But give me I'll take a little taste.
I think you've said you're going to put every single fighter on the card.
A little bit, just to hedge my bet on one.
You're not helping anyone. If you pick them all.
True. No, there was a couple big fat stayaways in there. Maybe not Stefan Struve. I said it about somebody.
You have to look back through.
All the way back through. Alves, I'm putting nowhere. Kilburn, I'm putting nowhere. And Martin and probably Joe Brina, I'm putting nowhere. And Trevor Smith. I'm not putting Trevor Smith anywhere. Yeah, fuck Trevor Smith.
Well, there's a couple.
There's a couple. But I agree. I do. somebody who has an actual finish potential, I gotta take a shot on DraftKings because you gotta go for the top. If you're gonna go out decision fights on, it doesn't work out DraftKings. Fight Big Championships is another story. Fight Big Championships, decision city all day, baby. But for that DK, you want finish. So sometimes gotta just get a little exposed out there. Moving up to the main event, 265 pounds, another short notice replacement for Walt Harris. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a drag. They did find Walt Harris's daughter, unfortunately. I can't believe they let that guy out on bond. Unbelievable. But there's 3 people implicated with the murder, so hopefully they get life sentences, whatever that means in whatever state they're in.
So
going to be
sad,
tried in.
very weird, it's just tragic.
Absolutely.
My heart goes out to the family. Good energy, healing vibes. I hope in cases like this, some sort of afterlife is real. I hope that for anything. I hope there's something else after death and his daughter is like running in a field of daisies or something. I don't know. Whatever heaven is for her. I hope there is something, or a born again or whatever Buddha thing. But so fucking sad. It just is. I can't even fathom.
Right? It makes no sense this day and age, but
what a bitch that he fucking dropped out of this card.
Oh my God!
Sorry.
Free speech, First Amendment on the internet. First Amendment, we're in America.
Just kidding, Harris.
That is a bad joke. But it's a good one.
Great joke.
It's a great joke.
It's a great joke.
Too soon?
If
no.
you're sensitive, if you're super sensitive, you shouldn't be listening to the show.
Truth. So we're going to get some.
No.
Follow us at LaTB, at Weeknight Baby.
You don't have to tell them again.
At Zoltanite. So
we're going to stop doing it. We ain't pandering these motherfuckers. We tell them once, and that's it.
Okay. So
we ain't pandering, motherfuckers.
On to the main event again. We have Alistair Overeem versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
You can tell him to be like, if you want to follow Alistair Overeem, tell him someone new.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do us before the main event because we are all about structure.
Boom.
We are forming something great here.
Nice. We need a good ground. Base. Need a base. So, 265 pounds. We know all about the short notice, why they're coming in here. Really interesting. I would have loved to have seen the other bout, but this one, on the short notice replacement, Jairzinho coming in with a perfect 9-0 record, last getting a quick win over Arlovski, before that knocking out Crowder with a jab, getting a knockout over Albini as well. He's just had a rise to the top, and now it's a huge step up with Alistair Overeem. The unfortunate thing here for Overeem is that he is 45-17. We've thought that his chin has been gone for a long time. He's coming off of a 2-fight winning streak, last beating Sergey a year ago, then 7 months ago beating Alexei Olenek. But I picked in Overeem in both of those bouts as an underdog because I thought specifically he had the matchup for that, but that's because they weren't big strikers. Either one of the Sergey was, but he just too young of a guy. But Olenek didn't have that strike capability to really scare Overeem, and Overeem on the ground is by far where he's been the best with that guillotine. The thing is, we haven't seen Overeem go to the ground anymore. His ego always gets in the way. He likes to prove that he's the better striker in there with his K1 credentials, his championship belts. But if he did actually go to the ground, he would beat a lot of these heavyweights. But history tells me Alistair Overeem's going to keep it striking because that's what he does. Guess what he should have done against Ngannou? Shot, take him down, not get uppercutted into the next dimension. Guess what? He never even tried to take him down because of that championship kickboxing. So here, Rozenstruik is a high-level kickboxer as well. He is Dutch as well. So the Dutch kickboxing, Rozenstruik comes in with. I know he says from Suriname, and that's his whatever, but he grew up. Rozenstruik grew up in Holland and speaks Dutch and is a Dutch kickboxer. So this is Dutch kickboxing at its best. The thing is that Overeem's the veteran. He's going to have nastier tricks. But Rozenstruik's going to be able to eat a few of these body shots. They're not going to be new to him. He's fought other high-level kickboxers. So I think Rozenstruik can eat 2 or 3 shots and be like, oh, wait, I'm just going to hit you with one.
They were like, let's take the only 2
Night,
black
night.
people in the Netherlands and make them fight.
There's more. Nesta Hoos is out there. There's some more. But yeah, definitely a minority. But I just feel like Rosenstruck here has power, has proven it time and time again. I think he's worse, especially on the ground. And striking-wise, he might even be a little worse than Overeem. But Overeem just doesn't have the best chin, and Rosenstruck has neck power that's on next level. So, again, give me Rosenstruck. TKO round number 1. I think he gets it done again pretty quickly. And I'm fading that chin. I am fading that chin. That's 100% it.
Mine's 100% always against Alistair Overeem. I'm not going to pick him. I'm not going to pick him now. Rosenstruck, KO round 1. I don't know who's going to have Alistair Overeem.
There is a lot of people because there is avenues for Alistair Overeem to win. He is a great striker.
I think those avenues he passed like 100 miles back.
Agreed. The horse meat ago.
Like,
a whole horse ago.
I think Overeem. I think Overeem would win this fight handedly, but that guy we haven't seen in a decade. Stop dreaming of the past. Stop dreaming. You know what, Overeem, if he wants to come back, he needs to go on a reality show like Survivor, like Jorge. Get that focus back. Get his focus back.
So you're going with a TKO round number 1 as well. Put a bet on it. If you're listening, put it under.
I don't know who's not going to do that. Uppercut from hell, not hit that same sweet spot on the chin.
What if I told you Alistair Overeem minus 120, Rosenstruck plus 100?
Maybe make a little money.
Exactly. I'm going to definitely be playing that line as well. It's my plus money.
I think we see that line change before.
It's gotten a lot closer, but definitely a lot of people giving credit to Overeem's. Plus 100. It's even money.
I thought it was negative 100. Isn't it negative?
Depending on the sports book you're looking at. These are the most recent lines. So, depending on the actual line there. But on DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for the slight minus 120 favorite Alistair Overeem at 8,300 against Rosenstruck's 7,900 plus 100 even, or minus 105 if you want to look at that. But either way, ultra close fight. We both say TKO round number 1.
Yeah.
I need a cheap guy on DK.
Night. Dead asleep.
Dead asleep. I mean 7-9 everywhere. Absolutely everywhere, Rosenstruck. I'm going 40%. I'm going to have to probably back off. And I've said this before, like, the only thing that can't happen right now is, I don't even want to say it.
Knock out
now for Overeem. Exactly. So dare I say I put Overeem on some? No!
Rosenstruck took this fight on short notice for a reason. He knows exactly what he's getting into.
He's had 2 fights to go a minute. Crowder went like 45 seconds or Arlovsky 30 seconds. Like, he's just off a fresh training camp at heavyweight. So, Rosenstruck, 40%. Easy.
And I'm sorry, you can tell people to follow us if you want to again.
No way.
You're like, fuck them motherfuckers,
we ain't paying it.
You know what, though? We have been playing a little UFC 3.
Oh, we have.
I think it's better to end with almost in this fight.
Ooh, your boy's been putting in some late night work.
I was wondering, I'm like, you're going to be so much better. I'm going to have to go and get it.
Unfortunately, your boy's also trying to get an education, so I haven't been able to do it as much as I wanted to.
Oh.
So, luckily it's been finals week, but I got a weekend of fights. My thumbs are going to get sore, whatever that means. Woo!
Are you sticking your thumb up your butt?
I'm playing them joysticks.
And on that note...
Let me...